Hey guys, Oscar here with Gastroenterology Simplified. I'm a board certified physician assistant, and today we are going to talk about TSH levels, how to figure out hyperthyroidism versus hypothyroidism. And before we go any further, I need to make things clear. This video is for educational purposes only. If you have any questions or concerns, please contact your primary care physician or physician assistant. The reason I want to talk about the TSH levels and how to figure out hyperthyroidism versus hypothyroidism, because when I was back in PA school, this was somewhat of a difficult topic for me because if the TSH level was elevated, it meant something else. If the TSH level was low, it meant something else. So I'm going to try to make it as clear as possible for you guys. Once again, this is very basic. And we're going to talk about the TSH levels and how to figure out hyperthyroidism versus hypothyroidism. I want to make it nice and easy for you to understand. Let's go ahead and talk about the basics. We have the pituitary gland, which is in the brain, and the pituitary sends a message to the thyroid, which is on front of the neck, and the message is via TSH, which is a hormone produced by the pituitary. The hormone is sent to the thyroid, and this hormone tells the thyroid to make T3 and T4. So when the pituitary gland sends the message TSH to the thyroid, and the thyroid does not make the T3 and T4 or makes very little of it, this means that the thyroid is not functioning well, which means hypo. It's not functioning that much, means low levels. On the other hand, if the pituitary gland sends very little TSH, the hormone, to the thyroid, and the thyroid is making a bunch of T4 and T3, this means that with very little signal, the thyroid is making a bunch of the T3 and T4s, meaning that the thyroid is being hyperactive, which translates into hyperthyroidism. If the pituitary gland sends the TSH level and the thyroid makes very little of the T3 and the T4, this means that the thyroid is being hypoactive. It's not working that well. Let's go ahead and go a little bit further here. This is the way I was able to understand it well. So we have a balance. And on the balance, we have elevated TSH. So if we have elevated TSH, this means that this balance is going to go up, which means that over here is going to go down. And when it's down, meaning producing very little T4 and T3, this means that the thyroid is not working that well, meaning hypoactive, which translates into hyperthyroidism. On the other hand, if we draw the balance once again, and we have very little TSH being sent to the thyroid, and the thyroid is making a bunch of T3 and T4, this means that this balance is going to go down and this is going to go up, translating into the thyroid being hyperactive, which means hyperthyroidism, meaning with very little signal, the thyroid is making a bunch of the T3, T4, and it's just being hyperactive with very little signal. On the other hand, the pituitary is sending the TSH, a lot of TSH, and the thyroid is making very little T3 and T4, this means that the thyroid is not responding to the signal, meaning being hypoactive. Guys, I hope this was easy to understand. Now you know that if the TSH level is elevated, this means that likely the T4 is low, meaning the thyroid is not working that much. It's not producing the T3 and T4, meaning being hypoactive, which translates into hypothyroidism. On the other hand, if you have low TSH, meaning the hormone is very, very little, but the thyroid is producing a lot of T3 and T4, this means that with very little signal, the thyroid is producing a bunch of T3, T4, meaning is being hyperactive, is working a lot with very little signal, which translates into hyperthyroidism. Now, there's more into it. I mean, there's many reasons why an individual may have hyperthyroidism versus hypothyroidism, but I don't want to go into too much details here because I want to make it very simple for this student and for any regular individual out there to understand the TSH levels. Guys, if you found this video helpful, please click like, subscribe so I can bring you more videos like this. And the best thing you can do is to share this video so other people with the same similar questions can understand what TSH level means, how it's produced, what does it mean if it's high or low. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.